You may have heard that doing the carnivore diet is extremely expensive. I've covered this before. It's kind of a myth that carnivore is expensive, but let's be real. We live in a time when the economy is not the best and people are tightening their belts, and that inflation is real. It is very real, and it looks like it's compounded. So inflation in one part of the economy, that affects another part of the economy. The inflation isn't the inflation rate we're told. There's something else going on. Prices have been going up a lot, and it causes some people to despair. So how do you do carnivore on a budget? We're all trying to save money. There are, again, 5 tips that you can have for doing so, doing carnivore on a simple budget. Carnivore can be even done by, the college student living in a dorm. Okay, you can do this diet on a tight budget. You just got to know some basic ways to do it. So let's get into this. First, every community I have ever lived in has had discount groceries. They exist everywhere. Some more easily available in some communities than others. So I live in central Oklahoma. The standard of the cost of living here is not that high, but the poverty rates are relatively high too. People living below the federal poverty line. And so we have a fair number of these places that we just around here call cash saver stores. And some of them are called cash saver. Some are called, they're just basically they're discount grocery stores. Every region has their own version of these. They usually, at least in my area, tend to they charge you the item at cost, and then they tack on a 10% rate. That doesn't mean the deals there are always the best compared to other more normal grocery stores, but in general, you're going to find some astonishingly good deals at these places. So find those in your area. These stores are going to be very basic inside. Not a lot of employees in them, 1 or 2 stocking shelves, maybe only 1 register open at any given time. And if you were to walk around the middle section of the aisle, you may not recognize most of the brands. They're going to be generic brands for the most part. You're not going to find your USDA prime beef here. You may not even find USDA select. You might find the step below, which is USDA standard. These are going to be leaner cuts of beef than you might be used to. That having been said, they make it so you can do your carnivore diet on a budget. You'll often find ridiculous deals at these stores, including for like gigantic chubs of hamburger, like the super fatty 73% hamburger for ridiculously low price. Standard quality eggs. These are not, again, going to be very good. These aren't going to be your pasture raised, your organic, massaged eggs or whatever. These are normal eggs, normal chicken, normal pork. The seafood section, if they have any, is going to be frozen probably, not a lot of fresh. But then again, oftentimes frozen salmon and frozen fish is frozen and processed on the boat out in the Arctic or wherever, and is actually in some ways more fresh than if you got something from that unfrozen stuff from the grocery store. But find your cash saver stores. That is your first bet. These are your discount grocery stores. There's no shame in shopping places like that. If you feel like, oh, I'm above that, get over yourself. You're on a budget, go there. You can look them up in your area. In the Portland metro area, when I lived there, they had this place called Grocery Outlet. That was a pretty big one. I remember the boxes of Captain Crunch with Arabic writing on them. I don't understand how they got those Captain Crunch boxes, but it gives you the idea. But some of these stores, like a Grocery Outlet in Portland, also had a wonderful cheese selection. A cheese selection you would not think that a store like that would have. So go to those stores. You never know what you'll find. The second one is you got to be aware of the sales. You have a mailbox, they probably mail you at least some of the ads for the stores in your area. And every one of the chains and even the local chains and local stores have websites where they post their ad. Find out what day their new sales start. Pay attention to the ads. You never know what's going to be on sale. So for instance, one of the grocery stores in my area has something that they call beef shoulder roasts on sale. It's a heavily trimmed chuck roast. And the price is great. If I didn't have a freezer full of beef, I would be going there and buying that. They had ribeyes recently we're now past the part of the summer where you can usually get the best deals on meat, and they had ribeyes on sale at a ridiculously good sale price. I actually picked a few up a couple weeks ago. But I only knew about it because I looked at the sale flyer. So look at the sale flyers. You never know what you're going to find. And honestly, sometimes you're going to see that some of the items that carnivores will eat from the middle sections of the store, the canned sardines and that kind of stuff, some of that's on sale too. Or there might be a coupon in there that might be useful. Save X amount of dollars on a X amount of dollar purchase. Check the flyers. You never know what you're going to find. Remember, in general, that the cheapest way to do a carnivore diet, as we go to point 3 here, is to eat eggs, which even like the cheapest eggs are still fine to eat. Okay, there's some people tell you go as clean and pure as you can. Yes, but the cheapest, industrialized versions of these things are still fine if that's all you can afford. It's still light years better than the standard American diet. The cheapest way to do this are going to be eggs, ground beef, generic brand butter, salt, maybe some pork loin because it's so lean that you're not going to have to deal with some. If you're worried about whatever might be in the fat of the pork, you're not going to have to worry too much about that in a trimmed pork loin. And even that is disputed. A lot of people dispute that pork isn't safe anyway on a carnivore diet. Chuck roast is often on sale for super cheap. Brisket this time of year, especially as we head into the Labor Day, you're going to find brisket on sale. So that's the time to stock up brisket at $2.99 a pound. Of course, you might be looking at a 15 to 20 pound roast. So bear that in mind. But you can put that in a crock pot if you don't have a pellet grill like I have or anything. Some people cut it into steaks. I don't know how you do that. That wrecks your jaw, but I don't know how you do it, but some people do. Or you can grind up a brisket into ground beef if you want. Point being, those are the cheapest cuts you can get, pretty much. And while we're at that, point 4, got to know when your stores in your area do their markdowns. And when they do their markdowns, when you can go to them. Often, a lot of stores like Walmart will have markdowns when they open, or about an hour after they open, the markdowns come out in the meat department. Some stores are a bit safer for markdowns than others, and you got to really know. When the beef is heavily discolored, I won't touch it, and I don't mean like a little bit of brown at the edge. Some stores will let the stuff go a lot further down the road towards being bad than is safe. I would generally avoid markdown chicken. I have had too many experiences in my past where I bought some markdown chicken, got it home, cut it, open up the package to cook it immediately, and the smell of ammonia came out. The smell of ammonia either means that they took the chicken and tried to clean it up with literal ammonia on it, or it went bad. And because when chicken goes off, one of the things it can smell like is ammonia. So I would avoid, as a general rule, markdown chicken, but beef and pork and salmon are usually okay, especially if you either freeze it immediately or eat it immediately. So know when the markdowns happen. Some stores tend to have different times of day that they do it. Granted, if you work a typical schedule, that might not work for you. But know when your stores do their markdowns and try to hit them as well as possible. I have done videos in the past, by the way, on the crazy good deals that Sam's Club has when they do markdowns. Their markdowns are usually most available toward their, business class members who can go in at like 8 o'clock in the morning, and you will just see like the meat cases on some days filled with markdown ribeyes. It's ridiculous. And finally, know your stores. Some of them have flash sales, and some of them have weird deals. It's like a flash sale will be something that might not even be advertised, but you'll walk in and there will just suddenly be a sale on meat that is not advertised. Some stores have a once a quarter meat sale. There's a little rural grocery store that is off of this, like rural highway, one of the most dangerous highways actually in the country. And I have to take it periodically. But on that highway is a rural grocery store, and it has their once a month, it seems like, a big meat sale. You got to know the stores in the area and when they do these things. The grocery store near me that I shop at historically the most used to have these like 5 for 20, or used to have these buy 2 get 3 free sales, and it runs all sorts of junk, soft drinks and things. But sometimes you get them on things that are on a carnivore diet, butter, cheese, that kind of thing. You got to know your stores and keep an eye out for those insane deals. And others have these odd deals. I've seen this at cash saver stores mostly. You buy 5 of some kind of product for $25, and I've seen this stuff in the meat area. Oftentimes it's not some of the best stuff, like, really cheap sausages or things. But again, even that stuff where it's got the fillers you normally wouldn't want to eat, if you are on a tight budget and you're getting started on a carnivore diet, it is still better than the standard American diet, or it's better than going back to the standard American diet. Though if you're dealing with things like Hashimoto's or things like that, eating that stuff may not be ideal. So just be aware of your own needs when you do this. But in general, you got to know the stores and their quirks, the kinds of unadvertised sales they have, store unique deals. Maybe, if you get to know the butcher, the guy in the meat department, maybe he will sell you some beef trimmings for a ridiculously good price. In the past, I've heard it sometimes the trimmings from the fat that they normally just throw away, getting given away for free. Although I don't know if they do that anymore. But those are my 5 tips for doing a carnivore diet on a budget. Let me know if you've got a few other tips in the comments, please. And like and subscribe if you haven't. It does help. And so does sharing this on social media. That helps too. I'm Anthony Stine, the Practical Carnivore. And thanks for tuning in today.